Hello everyone, I'm Martin and I'm a San Francisco-based software engineer. Today, I'll be going over how to set up DB Browser on your local Windows machine so you can explore your SQLite data. This video assumes that you have SQLite installed and you have some basic SQL knowledge. If you don't have SQLite installed, please refer to our SQLite for Windows installation video so you can follow along. Now let's get started. First thing we want to do is navigate to the DB Browser website, which is sqlitebrowser.org. Kind of confusing, I know. From there, we go over to download, and you can see we have the different versions to download for Windows. Choose the one that's appropriate for your machine. For me, that is going to be the standard installer for 64-bit Windows. If you're on a 32-bit machine, go for one of the other options. After it downloads, open the installer and follow the instructions to get the program installed on your system. One thing you might want to do is create a shortcut for the application so that you don't have to hunt through it in your installation folder. I'm going to skip this option, but you might want to put it on your desktop. Remember the file path where it's saved, because if you didn't create the shortcut here, you're going to have to go to this folder to find your application. Now that we have the program installed, let's open it and start playing around. Here you can see I have the DB browser open, so let's start using it. Let's create a new database. This will open a file window for us to create a file. Give your database a name. You can see here I had some other ones that I was playing around with. I'm just going to call it demo2.db. You will get a window to create the first table in your database. Now you need to create at least one table in your database in order to actually use it. Now let's pretend that I'm working on creating a blog and I'm setting up the database for that blog. So I'm going to make a table for blog posts. So let's name our table posts. We need to add fields. So I'm going to assume that each post will have an ID, which is going to be an integer. It's not null. The NN here stands for not null. It will be a primary key, and it's auto increment and unique. Let's add another field for title. The title is going to be a text. It's not null. And let's just leave it at that. And then content, which is also text, and we can keep it null for now. That'll be fine. Let's get OK, and you can see here in our tables we have our posts table with the 3 fields that we created. One really important thing to keep in mind is that the changes you make are not saved to the database until you hit write changes. So let's save our changes that we made and by hitting write changes. And now our database has this new table definition inside of it. We have our table, and now let's try to actually add data to our table. Navigate to the Browse Data tab, and then select the table that you have. In this case, we only have one table, so just pick that one. To start adding data, you want to create a new record, and you can see it will automatically add the ID for us because we told it that this is the primary auto increment key. Give it a title. And here you see we made the first entry in our table. Can make another one. And you can see this is how easy it is to actually add the records. But remember, these are not actually saved until you hit write changes. And if we actually wanted to take a look at executing queries on our table, we could go to the execute SQL tab, and we can do something simple like select all from posts. You can see it will autocomplete, auto suggest for you. Then click run, and you can see this is the content that we added. Another great use for DB Browser is just for going through a dataset. So let's open a sample dataset and take a look at the data inside it. Quick tip, if you're looking for some sample SQLite datasets to work with, you can search for SQLite data starter packs, and the first result should be a link to a page from Stanford's Public Affairs Data Journalism class, and it has a decent collection of SQLite datasets that you can use to test your SQL query knowledge. The one I'm going to be using is the California School SAT Performance and Poverty dataset. Let's go back to our loaded dataset. We can see that the dataset consists of 3 different tables. We have schools, SAT scores, and a third table. To test things out, let's try to run a query to count the number of students with scores over 500 on their math SAT. So let's go to execute SQL. Let's do select count all from SAT scores. You can see the auto suggesting is really helpful in creating your queries, where I think it was called average score math greater than 500. Run the query, and you can see we get that there is about 700 students. So there you have it. Now you should have DB Browser installed on your machine. Happy coding and explore some datasets.